now call to order the meeting of the Board of Adjustment for the City of Apache Junction. Today's date is March 20th, 2024, and the time is 7 p.m. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. Rudy, roll call, please.
Vice Chair Shanebeck.
Here.
Board Member Martin.
Present.
Board Member Lanza.
Here.
Board Member Brashan.
Here.
Board Member McGraw.
Here.
All present, we have a quorum, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. May I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second, please.
Second.
Thank you. Rudy, roll call.
I'm sorry, who made the motion? Or who made the? Thank you. Board Member McGraw.
Yes.
Vice Chair Shanebeck.
Yes.
Board Member Martin.
Yes.
Board Member Lanza.
Yes.
Board Member Brashan.
Yes.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Next is a public hearing to discuss a variance request by Judy Cook, case P 24-10-BA. Erica?
Good evening, board members. My name is Erica Hernandez. I'm a planner on staff. This presentation is for a variance request by Judy Cook to reduce the front main structure setback on her property located at 2911 East Cactus Run Street. See, this property is zoned RSGR. It is also surrounded by other RSGR properties. The setbacks for RSGR are 40 feet in the front, 20 feet on the sides, and 40 feet in the rear. And the request is to reduce the main structure front setback from 40 feet to 28 feet. Now here's the proposed site plan. It is also the current location of the manufactured home that is there. The new manufactured home and awning would sit 12 feet inside the front setback, but the side and the rear setbacks, it would meet the side and the rear setbacks. Here's a little background about the property. The existing home was installed prior to the 1985 zoning ordinance. It has an existing raised slab, concrete stairs and ramp, and handrails to aid with access. In October 2023, there was an application that was made for a new manufactured home installation, but it did not meet the current setbacks. In November, Mrs. Cook met with city officials and with staff to ask about an exemption. And after speaking with staff, Judy Cook applied for a variance. Now, the lot is substandard in size. The minimum acreage for RSGR is 1.25 acres, and hers currently is 0.62 acres. There are two federal patent easements on the property, one on the west and one on the north. The western FPE is extinguished, but it does count in the net square footage of the property, and that is important because prior to the 2014 zoning ordinance, there was an allowance for GR properties to reduce the front setback from 40 feet to 20 feet if they were less than 20,000 net square feet. But because this FPE, this extinguished FPE, is counted into the net, it exceeds the threshold. So we wouldn't be allowed to reduce the setback. Okay, so this is the east-west orientation that would meet the setbacks, and also the 10-foot minimum separation between the manufactured home and the septic. As you can see here in this little bubble here, she would have to remove at least one saguaro cactus. Here is the drainage swale on the property, is the easterly drainage swale. If she was going to put the manufactured home in a location that meets the RSGR setbacks, she would have to modify the swale in order to avoid flooding on the property. This slide shows the elevation changes on the property. We see here the elevated slab and the stairs and the concrete ramp here. And also here is the saguaro cactus that would need to be removed. So if the home was placed in the location that meets the RSGR setbacks, there would be a significant amount of concrete work and also grading to level the property for installation. As far as public input, there was a sign posted at the site, and notices were sent out to property owners within 300 feet around the subject site, and the case was advertised in the newspaper. Staff spoke to one resident who had no objections. With that, staff recommends approval of variance case number P-24-10-BA, subject to the conditions of approval listed in the staff report. And we do have the applicant that would like to speak, and afterwards we can answer any questions.
Anybody have any questions of Erica before we hear from the applicant? No. All right. Would the applicant care to speak?
My name is Jeff Vaughn. Hello, good morning.
We need your name and address.
Thank you so much for
Sir?
your, yes.
Name and address, please.
Oh, my name is Jeff Vaughn, and, gosh, why'd you have to ask me for my address? I live at Carriage Manor in Mesa.
Okay.
It's at 7750 East Broadway Road, and that's lot number 687 in Mesa.
All right, thank you.
Okay. I work for Factory Select Homes. This is Judy Cook right here, the second one. I work for Factory Select Homes. You know, almost a year ago, I sold Judy Cook a home, and I've been doing this for 10 years. I've never had an installer bring me a customer. We always bring the installers customers. And in this case, Judy Cook knew Terry Lindgren. He brought us the customer. So I kind of had a hands-off on this one. I just assumed, which you know what they say about assuming, but the installer knew what he was doing. He's a licensed installer by the state of Arizona, and he said everything was great. We're just taking the old home and we're going to replace it with exactly the same size home, but brand new. And yada, yada, yada. We get up, right, we built the house. We're ready to deliver it, and Terry is sending in plans that were east going north and south. It was just a huge mess, and thankfully, is it son-in-law? Casey, her son-in-law is an engineer, and he drew up that plan right there, and we're just here to hopefully get you to approve putting the same house in the same position for Ms. Cook.
Okay, thank you. Anybody have any questions?
I have one, probably should be directed to the city attorney or staff. The issue is the zoning change. There was a change in zoning regulation from the time the first home was put in to now, correct? Is that what we're primarily dealing with?
No, it's just a setback issue. Rudy could expound on the details of that.
No, there has not been a zoning change per se. This is an older part of the city. It is not that unusual to find substandard size lots in areas, particularly the northeast and the eastern parts of the city that are predominantly acre and a quarter lots. A long time ago, when this was still Pinal County, up until about the mid-70s, I believe, Pinal County, their minimum lot size for the GR zone was actually half an acre. And then I believe sometime in the mid-70s, they increased it to an acre and a quarter. Of course, Apache Junction incorporated in late 1978, and we inherited a lot of the substandard GR lots.
Okay.
So zoning has not changed. The area by and large is GR acre and a quarter lots, but there's a few
The setback
peppered.
regs were different under the county than here.
No, they're actually the same.
same?
40 acre front and rear, 20 feet on the sides. In our pre-2014 ordinance, there was an exemption in the GR zone for these older lots of record that basically, if you had less than 20,000 square feet net, I believe, you could have reduced setbacks, 20 foot in the front, 25 in the rear, 8 feet on the sides. This lot it did not meet those minimum thresholds because even the net area is still over 20,000. However, because of the physical constraints on the property, the drainage swales, the amount of dirt and concrete work that would be required to be imported to reorient the home, as it were, we felt that it fell within the criteria for granting a variance because of the lay of the land, the economic, because the hardships of just having to redo the whole property, re-level the property to accommodate a home to meet setbacks.
Especially when you're just using the same footprint, right?
Basically, we're using the same footprint,
I
yes.
agree.
Mr. Chair, if I could
Yes.
ask one more question of either Rudy or Erica. You mentioned the federally patented easement. Can you explain that to the board? And what is a federal patent easement? And also how that affects the area? And if it wasn't there, what would be the difference?
So a federal patent easement is part of the the Small Tracts Act in the 30s and implemented in Apache Junction in the 50s. Is that correct, Rudy?
Yeah,
Around the
more or less.
50s. So that is just to guarantee access for parcels and also for utilities. In this case, the city extinguished its rights to the FPE here on the west side. So you see that's in red. And so the city is saying, we're not going to put a road there, but all utility companies still have rights to it unless they have extinguished their rights to it themselves. And all 7 would have to do that in order to be able to build in this area. But unfortunately, it still counts as part of the net, even though you can't build on it. So in this case, the setback right there on the side, if it was still an active FPE, it would be the 33-foot easement plus the 20-foot side setback. But in this case, the 20-foot is included inside the 33 feet. So she can actually build right up to that line. Right here, this line right here. Otherwise, it would have to be pushed another 20 feet east.
Any questions? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
I will now open the public portion of the hearing. If anyone wishes to speak, please come forward and state your name and address. I will now close the public portion of the hearing. All right, any discussion, members of the board?
I have a motion, Mr. Chairman.
Well, I've got to read findings of the fact first, I believe. I'm sorry. Thank you, Rod. There are special circumstances or conditions applicable to the property referred to in this application which do not prevail on other similar properties in that zone or immediate area. Those special circumstances include the property is a substandard size, the property has significant elevation changes preventing the east-west orientation of a new manufactured home without significant grading and concrete work, and the removal, transplantation, or destruction of at least one saguaro cactus. The property is bordered by the federal patent easements on 2 sides, which further limits the amount of buildable area. I'd go ahead and entertain your motion, Rod, now. Okay, we have questions.
Rudy, just for my own edification, does that change the RSGR of this property? Does it change its designation?
No, it'll still be zoned RSGR.
Thank you. All right, go ahead.
Oh, that's fine.
With the findings of fact factored, I move the case number P-24-10-BA request by Judy Cook to the Board of Adjustment and Appeals to grant the variance of Section 152 residential bulk regulations, requesting deviation for the main structure front setback in the RSGR zoning district for the property identified as parcel number 103-02-050A be approved, subject to the following conditions. 1, the main structure front setback includes awnings shall be reduced to 28 feet, and 2, that all future construction and accessory structures on the property continue to be properly permitted and comply with the normal setback regulations.
I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Rudy, roll, please.
Board Member Bashan.
Yes.
Board Member McGraw.
Yes.
Vice Chair Shanebeck.
Yes.
Board Member Martin.
Yes.
Board Member Lanza.
Yes.
So moved, Mr. Chairman. The variance request is approved.
Thank you. Really needed to be approved, yep. There is no old business this evening, there is no new business this evening, and I'd entertain a motion for a meeting date.
Is April 8th our next normal meeting, unless there's?
Yes, sir. That's the normally scheduled
I so
second
moved-
Monday meeting.
I so moved April 8th, 2024 at 7 PM is our next meeting.
Okay, roll call?
Board Member Lanza.
Yes.
Board Member Bashan.
Yes.
Board Member McGraw.
Yes.
Vice Chair Shanebeck.
Yes,
Board Member Martin.
Yes.
So move, Mr. Chairman.
I now adjourn the meeting at 7:15 PM.